Hey guys, how you doing today? This is David Lucas back here again. Welcome back to my channel. And now I know it's been a little bit of while again since I last been here. It's been a couple weeks. I know I usually do go on hiatus sometimes. It just happens, I guess. I am trying to really work on that and really try to get better at from doing that. I hope I can get better. But here I am again to do another review, another MCU review. So even though I know I'm wearing a Joker, a Batman shirt right now, a DC shirt, kind of the opposite of what the review I'm doing right now. But we're doing another MCU review for the latest MCU Disney Plus show that's out right now, and that is Loki. Yes, guys, we're back here again for another MCU Disney Plus show, Loki. And Loki, if you guys didn't know, if you've been watching this channel for a while, then you probably would know, but then Loki has been my most anticipated MCU Disney Plus show. Very much been Loki. Honestly, ever since I really even heard that they were making a Loki show, I was immediately already like, yeah, I want to go. I want to watch this Loki show, because I love Tom Hiddleston. I love Loki. I love the MCU's version of Loki, and plus, when we last left off with him in Endgame, in the Endgame movie, that one scene, that makes you a little bit curious as to, okay, what's going on here? Then we got the trailer, and I gotta say, too, that I really love and enjoy the trailer to it. I thought the trailer was really good. It was really interesting, and made me curious to really kind of see, what they're doing forward with the MCU, especially with Loki. It looked trippy, it looked kind of out of the box of anything really Marvel's done before. And to me, all around the trailer just looked like something new and something fresh, and I was just so excited by it. And Tom Hiddleston again as Loki is freaking amazing. Then we got Owen Wilson in this playing Agent Mobius in here. I was very interested in this show. Hearing rumors how it's doing with time and the other, realities of the MCU. So this show was a very big show on my schedule. I was very, very looking forward to this show. And after watching episode 1 of season 1, because I've been hearing that we're going to have 2 seasons, so hopefully there is 2 seasons. But after you're watching season 1, episode 1, here I am to give you my thoughts on Loki so far, the first episode of Loki. Before we get into the review, make sure you guys give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out if you subscribe to it and give this a like. It really helps me out a lot. It helps this channel grow. It helps the community grow, and I really appreciate your support. Now let's get on to the actual review. So right off the bat, I gotta say, yeah, I actually really have no complaints about this first episode. I thoroughly enjoyed this first episode all the way through, and I think I can say that this is maybe my favorite first episode of any of the Marvel MCU films. This is my favorite pilot of all the MCU films, because this one was just great in my opinion. But now to start out on it, what I really loved about it, I love how it actually start out right there in Endgame. And to start out that one scene in Endgame, basically shot for shot, a little bit different, because, you've seen it from a different angle and stuff like that. So, a little bit is a little bit different there, but it's basically shot for shot. And I think even in one scene, you get to see Ant-Man, Scott Lang kind of jumping on Iron Man's, Tony's shirt or arm, and it's pretty cool that we see that connection, and then it goes right to the scene where Loki picks up the Tesseract and then gets the hell out of there, and I like that. And I also like too the kind of inclusion of as he goes and it fades to black, we hear kind of Thor going, Loki, where's Loki? And I like that because it kind of, and it fades away as he's talking, his voice is fading, and it's kind of singling, this is the fade off of this reality. We're now branching off to someplace new. And I like that. I like that kind of, stuff that they put in there. So basically, since we got that Loki, this Loki that we're in now, who we're seeing now, and we're following throughout this whole show, is not the Loki that we really have been with throughout the whole, MCU so far, the whole 10 years. This is actually the Loki from Avengers, the very first Avengers movie, and the first Thor movie. This is that Loki. Even though they are technically the same Loki, well, since this Loki, diverges off that timeline, now this Loki has a pretty much new story. There's a new timeline set, because now since he's gone, Loki was, involved in a lot of events that was going forward in the MCU. He was involved in a lot of stuff that happened, a lot of some deaths, some, you know, stuff that was what happened in Thor, the third Thor movie, I bad, and Thor Ragnarok. What happened in there, with how he banished Odin. A lot of those stuff Loki was part of. Thor's mother dying, Loki's and Thor's mother dying. He was part of that. So this Loki has not yet been, he's not yet been through all that stuff yet. So he is still that Loki that we knew from the first Avengers movie, and I like that. I like how now we're following Loki from a different point of his life, and now we're going to see a new story that's different, that's going to set him on different a course than what that Loki was on, and I like that. I like how that's going on. And I like, too, how we get a couple of scenes of Loki, like, watching while he's in a TVA, and he's actually watching his whole life. And we see that scene of him basically seeing how he was responsible for his mother's death, how him and Thor end up making up and becoming brothers, becoming true brothers. And that scene that always gets me so emotional when he finally gets to hear his father tell him that he loves him right before he dies. And I like how we get to see that. And then he gets to see him basically getting killed by Thanos, the guy who promised him all this power in the beginning, the guy who he invaded Earth, Midgard, for. He sees that guy kill him while he just made up with his brother. And he seen what happened with his parents. So now that Loki is seeing all this stuff happen before his eyes, and he realizes what truly becomes of his life. I like that. I like it. I love Tom Hiddleston's performance in that too. Tom Hiddleston's performance in this whole show, not this whole show, but this first episode was phenomenal. Especially when he was watching, his life flash before his eyes, basically. And just his reaction and his emotion that he showed with that was so great and so excellent, in my opinion. I felt that myself. I felt it. And now getting on to the TVA, that is something, too, that I really love. I love the introduction of the TVA of, their Minutemen soldiers coming in. And then we get introduced to the judges and all that. And some of, the clerks or workers there. And I just love the whole look of the TVA. It looks very much like the comics. It's very much reminiscent of the comics. And the way how they explain that TVA has basically been there the whole time. It's just they never showed up because they really didn't need to be. And we get to basically see their true power. And how their power basically is, overexceeds Thanos, the Infinity Stones, it all. And Loki sees this because there's a scene where they're just using Infinity Stones as paper clippers or just paper holders. And Loki's like, what? Even the Infinity Stones don't have any power in this TVA. And we get to see that TVA does control time itself. They control the flow of time. They dictate the flow of time. If somebody messes up or someone, ruins some of the timeline, they'd have no problem to take them out. They have no problem to do that. And I like that, and I like how we see that this Loki is a variant because he's not the actual Loki. He's a Loki from the timeline that diverged, so he's a variant. And I like how they constantly just call him a variant and call all these people variants and all that. Love the setup of the TVA. And there's something is weird about the TVA that I noticed, that they seem a little fishy to me. I don't know, to me, they seem like... I don't know if we should trust them fully going forward in the show. I don't know if they are necessarily the good guys going forward. That's all I'm going to say right now. And speaking of the TVA, Owen Wilson's character, Agent Mobius, who I spoke of him a little bit earlier, I love him. I love Owen Wilson to begin with, and then just the fact that he was being part in the MCU with Tom Hiddleston's Loki. I mean, I think that's his perfect pairing, and I like it. And it was a perfect pairing just from this episode alone. You can see that, yeah, this is going to be fun seeing them together, seeing them bounce off each other as the show goes forward. I like his character, Agent Mobius. I like how he kind of seems like a beat cop, trying to fight this case. He's trying to, get a win. He just constantly can't get a win. And he sees Loki, and he's like, this is my win. This is my way in there. And I like that. And I like how he gets to Loki, and I like how he really is like a therapist to Loki in a way. He makes Loki confess a bunch of stuff and all that. And I just am really liking this Agent Mobius character. And in the comics, he wasn't really that big of a character. He was Agent Mobius in the comics. I believe he was based off of one of the guys that worked at Marvel at the time. He was basically kind of like the whole he kept the continuity, in check and all that stuff. And they based this Agent guy off of him in the comics. So that's pretty much what Agent Mobius is. And I am really curious to know where we're gonna go forward with him in this show, because him and Loki are the main characters based on the show, so I am curious to see how we go forward with this. I am really liking that, cop, that buddy cop kind of stuff. That seems the vibes that seem to be coming off of them, and I like that. I also like too the show. Just the first episode it did. I think it was 56 minutes or something like that, and just the overall world building that we got in this, the overall character building and world building all throughout this episode that we got, was really good. And really excellent to get you hooked into this first episode, you know what I mean? They did an excellent job, in my opinion, to get you hooked with the character development and kind of seeing a new side of Loki that we really didn't see. We seen a good Loki before, but we never seen this side of Loki, especially coming from this Loki from this time period. We never seen before, and it's something really interesting that I'm liking. And now when we get to the very ending of this episode, we basically get the reveal of the main villain. We get the reveal of the main villain of the show, and the main villain of the show is none other than Loki himself. Yes guys, an other time period version of Loki is said to be the villain of the show. The guy that, or female, because there is a female Loki in the comics, which I have a speculation for this show. Other Loki's loose, and that's who Agent Mobius has been going after, throughout, because we see in the beginning of this episode where he's on his investigation, he can't win, and we see that. I think that's who Mobius is after, and that's why he recruits Loki, to basically have Loki to fight against Loki. And we get that one little scene at the ending with, where I think it goes 15 something or 18 something, and we see the group of the Minutemen going to this time period, and they end up facing off against that Loki, who's holed up in a hood. We don't see his face or anything, but he's starting fires everywhere. And apparently this Loki is messing things up in the timeline, and this is going to pretty much be the main story going forward of this. So guys, as a whole, my overall thoughts on Loki, the first episode, is it was a perfect pilot in my opinion. Probably the best pilot of any MCU film so far. I'm not saying the best show, but definitely the best pilot of MCU show going so far. I loved it. It got me hooked right away. Tom Hiddleston as Loki is amazing. Owen Wilson in here is great. The rest of the cast in here seems really cool and interesting. I really like the TVA. I love the history behind the TVA, and I really am curious to know what their eventual game is and what their plan is going forward. I am really curious on this time variant Loki, this evil Loki that's out there, whether it's a female Loki or not Loki. Again, look up the comic book, the Mistress Loki comic book, and you'll see that, yeah, there is a female Loki out there in the comic books. So this makes me think, maybe we're going to get some female Loki, maybe. I mean, it'll change something up. It'll be something new and change it up. So I am all for that. That is my big theory. That is my big Mephisto theory of this show, is that female Loki is the main villain of it, and that is the time variant that they're going after. So guys, let me know down in the comment section below, and let me know your thoughts on Loki, the first episode. Are you liking the show so far? Are you in it? Did it hook you like how it hooked me so far? Or are you kind of not liking it? Were you not as hooked as I was? Let me know down in the comment section below, and let me know your thoughts. And thank you again for watching. I always appreciate it. Make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. I always appreciate it. I always appreciate your support all the time. And until next time, guys, stay tuned on more Loki reviews and more reviews of everything else coming on this channel. I am going to keep up to date a lot more lately. Don't worry, guys. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.